To football here, Greg. Christian Gonzalez appeared on the Frat Rules podcast, and he was asked about Jerod Mayo, interestingly enough, and had this to say about his former coach.
Did you like him as a coach?
I did.
Yeah, he was a good coach.
I think they did him a little dirty, giving him only 1 year.
But
yeah,
that's the front office. So, front office's responsibility, huh? You just ball. Right?
Yeah, we're going to see what Braves do.
You still got the same DC up there? No, they a whole new coaching change.
There's a whole they down there cleaned house. So.
And then when Bill left, they did the same thing, or it was
when Bill left, it was basically the same staff, just without Bill.
New coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did him dirty. They did Jerod Mayo dirty. I mean
that they did.
Yeah,
I agree with him.
Is it a good thing though for these guys when they are going on these podcasts and saying the first thing that pops into their head, or is it a bad thing?
But who didn't think that he got done dirty?
I think
besides you.
Okay, besides me, I guess not a lot of people.
Right. So everybody so him saying that is not like shocking revelation.
Do you think Jerod Mayo expected that he was going to be an extraordinary head coach in the NFL?
I don't know
not in the first year.
Yeah, not in the first year. I think he probably was going to take his lumps. But do you think he expected that they weren't going to give him anything when it came to personnel?
I don't think that they
or staff.
I don't think that they expected.
That's a good point, Curtis.
I don't think that they expected it was going to be the dumpster fire that it ended up being.
How do they not expect that? When Curtis makes another great point, you went out and got Vrabel and then said, you know what, at the offense coordinator, let's bring back Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels was hanging around all over Massachusetts last year. Why didn't you bring him in?
Do you think that they expected that with Jerod Mayo as the head coach, there were going to be D-list wide receivers declaring that they had the best hands in the NFL publicly and questioning why the offense was being run the way the offense was being run? Do you think that they thought they were going to have guys that were in jolly old England out enjoying too much shepherd's pie at 1 a.m. and sick?
Yeah, but Greg, what Jerod Mayo's first practice basically was on the fields in front of the fan base, and they allow Matthew Judon to dress him down in front of everyone. Something unlike the Devers comments that was predictable.
They allowed it, or he allowed it?
What? Matthew Judon got in his face and was screaming at him.
Bill Belichick would have sent him home and shipped him off the next day.
Bill Belichick.
Well, that's Jerod Mayo. The guy. He doesn't. If you're going to be a head coach in the NFL, you shouldn't need to have your hand held.
Do you think Jerod Mayo thought going into it that they weren't going to add any playmakers to the offense, or they were just going to ride with a bunch of rookies?
And he thought they were going to spend a lot of money. I also think it's crazy if you take into consideration that a lot of reports were that Kraft wanted Vrabel 2 years ago, and that there was talk about that. Then they bring in Mayo. They almost give Vrabel on a silver platter, like the success that you would want in your first year head coach. Like Jerod Mayo having such a terrible season last year. Now you bring in Mike Vrabel. There's only one way to go, and it's up.
Do you think that Jerod Mayo thought going into it goes, oh, if Drake May is the better guy and we want to start him, that I'm going to have to fight an uphill battle to start him in week one?
I don't believe that the decision to fire him after 1 year had much to do with the record at all. I think it had everything to do with all of the off-field stuff that went on and the lack of control that he had over the locker room and the players. And then the final straw was that the guy went out and denied us the opportunity to have the number 1 pick, which I will never forgive him for.
Do you think they set him up for success, though? The Crafts.
I mean, I set him up for success. He wants to be a head coach in the NFL. He needs to set himself up for success.
Yeah, but how can you set yourself up when they're not giving you the coaching staff, or they're not allowing?
They gave him the job with virtually no experience.
Right.
That's not doing somebody dirty. That's doing somebody a favor.
If you give someone a job without experience, then you do what they did with the Rams, and you bring in Wade Phillips. You bring in people who I think have a big role. I've never been in the NFL, never played in. At Rivers we were good, but not quite. That what the coordinators play a role in keeping guys in line. They do the job of the head coach, so the head coach doesn't have to be everywhere. They gave Jerod Mayo the same roster, basically, they had the year before, and they precluded him from playing the most important player from week 1 because the organization said it was a slow play, and Mayo bought in because he was told from day 1 that this was a long-term plan, that it was a year early, and that Robert Kraft trusted him completely. And then they take the legs out from under him the second they start losing. There's whispers about Mayo and over the summer and Bedard reporting this, and Robert Kraft at no point empowered him. I don't think Jerod Mayo, with everything working, is a great coach. I'm not saying he's, Vince Lombardi. I'm just saying that it is. I don't think you can argue that the Patriots did him dirty last year. I just don't think it's an arguable point.
Jerod,
Wiggy,
here's your Bentley with no wheels.
Okay.
So Christian Gonzalez says that the Patriots did Jerod Mayo dirty, and what did he say? We'll see how Vrabes does. Is that what
Correct.
He said?
Yes.
That's a good way to start things off with a new boss. Vrabes.